Hello and welcome to the RV Living Show. I'm Luann Street and it's Tuesday night. We are getting ready to dive into the 3 things that I wish I had known before I started RVing. So welcome to the RV Living Show. I'm Luann Street from Design Your RV Life, trying to bring you some education, inspiration, and encouragement for your RV life. No matter whether you're a free timer, full timer, or any timer, right? We can enjoy the RV lifestyle. So if you like what I bring to you every week, if you would please like or subscribe, or if you're listening to this on the podcast, hit the download button, do all the things that make other people be able to find this content, because I really want to be of service to other people who want to enrich and create their RV lives. All right, well, we're going to start tonight with the 3 things that I wish I had known before I started RVing. So, and this goes back to even before I was full-time, right? Some of you, I'm sorry, I stumbled there a minute. Some of you know that I was full-timing with my husband, Brian, before he passed away last year. And I am carrying on the torch of creating the best RV life that you can, because there are some things about RVing that you just never get out of your blood. You just really want to travel, you want to create those bucket lists, you want to experience all the things. And that's what it's all about. So let's talk about the 3 things that I learned about, but that I wish I had known before I started RVing. So the first one is that owning an RV isn't as expensive as I thought it would be. So speaking to that and the fact that, yes, it can get very expensive. But the thing is back before we knew about RVing, getting into an RV in the first place was totally not as expensive as we thought it was going to be. We resisted for many, many years, thinking that we either didn't have the resources or that we wouldn't be able to afford the one that we wanted. And when we finally went in there and looked around and realized what we wanted to do with it, we were able to buy our RV. Now, I wish I had known that so much sooner. Like that is something, because we wouldn't have wasted those years thinking something that was not true. So I want to encourage you today that if you just think that the RV lifestyle is out of your reach, whether it's full-time or part-time, or anytime, really go look at them, go investigate, do a little homework. We used to call them field trips. Brian and I would go to RV lots and look at different ones. And of course, the old adage, my mother always used to say, well, you've got a champagne or a beer budget on a champagne. No. Oh, I can't remember it now. Champagne appetite on a beer income, right? So she would always say, because that's the truth. You go out there and you look at them, right? And you're like, oh, but that one's even nicer and better. But I just want you to think about that it's really about the journey. It's not about the RV, although the RV is super nice to have, and having all the different things that are in your RV that make your life easier, that just make it more fun to go and stay longer and things like that. So so you can kind of get into that whole thing about looking beyond your means. But I can tell you for sure that when we weighed out what we were spending on the weekends to have fun, we could translate that money into an RV payment at the time and our camping. So, that's just another way of looking at things. The next thing that I wish I had known is that traveling in our RV was even better than we had imagined. And that is so true. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story here. Brian and I had owned our RV for about 2 years before we took off to Prince Edward Island, Canada. We were not full-timers at the time, and we were headed up through the Northeast, and somewhere in Maine or New York or somewhere up there, we got stopped in a traffic jam. And we had a motorhome. And so this lends itself to more of a story if you have a motorhome. But so we got stuck. Well, instead of being upset or mad or, just inconvenienced, of course, it was going to take us longer to get to our campground that night as we were traveling. But the beauty of it was that I went back and I made lunch. We're stopped in dead stop traffic. I made lunch and we could go to the bathroom, right? I mean, and after a while, we made the joke back and forth about, well, these cars are going to start knocking at our door because they're going to need to use the bathroom. So anyway, that is something that I really remember, and that it was just so much better than I thought it was going to be. Having everything at our fingertips, not ever forgetting our toothbrush. Of course, if you forgot to put it in the RV, but after a while you start having things in there that you have to keep packing it all the time. But yeah, you've got everything that you need with you, and you don't have to think about those types of things of forgetting or not having the conveniences. Another quick story. We had disconnected. This was after we were full-time. So all my stuff is in that RV, right? Everything. I mean, everything that we owned other than a small storage unit was in that RV. And we had disconnected the toad. We towed a Jeep, and Brian, we were in a mountain range, and he wanted me to drive behind. He didn't want to pull the car. And so I got in the Jeep and I'm driving behind him going down the mountain. And all of a sudden I remember thinking, I forgot my bathing suit. And then it was like this, it came over me. I mean, we had been full-timing for like 4 years, and I'm still like, oh no, I forgot my bathing suit. And then it was so funny because then I was like, oh, wait a minute. No, it's in my house. It's right in front of me. So anyway, traveling in the RV was better than I ever could imagine. The third thing that I wish I had known ahead of time is that every time we traveled in the RV, we'd have to fix something. So I don't know about you. If you don't own an RV yet, please don't let this be something that holds you back. But you can learn to fix anything. You just got to figure it out. But, RVs are rolling earthquakes, okay? They are, machinery that's going down the road. They're built on a chassis that rumbles and tumbles as you go down the road, hits potholes, all the things. So you're either going to have to put stuff back in, or screws are going to come loose over time. Sometimes slides don't come in and out. Sometimes jacks don't come up and down. But, there's always ways around it and able to fix it. So don't worry about that part of it, but just know going in, because it can be really disappointing. So you're on this trip and you're expecting everything to go just perfectly. And I think setting your expectation ahead of time that no, you are going to have to fix some things, having the appropriate tools with you, a little bit of knowledge, a lifeline to somebody who knows how to do RV repair. Some of those things you can have at your disposal so that when something does happen, because it will happen, that you're able to do what you need to do and keep on having a good time. But that way you won't get so bent out of shape when something does go wrong, because it's going to go wrong and you just need to have that set up ahead of time. And really, it's kind of the trade-off for the lifestyle and for the ability to with your stuff with you wherever you go. Again, it's so cool to be able to do that, but setting your expectations is really important too. There's another one that I kind of just thought of, because when I created the show notes for this episode, I wasn't sure if I was going to share this part or not. But so what I wish I had known, and I might even cry, before I started RVing, is that I was going to lose my husband in a prime of our lives, in a lifestyle that we loved and created for ourselves. and that we would have done it a whole lot sooner. So if you're on the fence about getting an RV and enjoying the lifestyle, if you're waiting and thinking, I just want one more year at my job because that's going to take me over this financial hump or this thing or that thing, you know, and I'm not telling you to make dumb financial decisions, but really evaluate why you're delaying the fact that you want to either full-time or travel extensively and pulling the trigger on the lifestyle. We're not promised tomorrow, people. I can speak for that from great sincerity. So don't wait. Don't wait. If we had stuck to our original plan to full-time, we wouldn't be full-time. We never would have went because he died at 62. So I just want you to know that your dreams are important and you need to pull the trigger on what you want to do and not always be making excuses. And, you know, a lot of times those excuses come from fear of the unknown, fear of all the things, right? So I have been asked if I was going to do workshops anymore, and I am. I am starting to do workshops again. So if you're interested in learning more about the full-time RV life, I have a workshop coming up called Launch Your Full-Time RV Life Workshop. And this is the URL for it. It is a paid workshop this time. I'm doing things a little bit differently. It's $17 on the early bird. If you are interested in full-timing and you want to get in a Zoom room with me and learn some things and be able to ask me questions, this is the perfect opportunity. It's coming up in August. Please check it out if you want to sign up. I'd love to have you on one of the workshop dates, and we're going to dive into, you know, the whole thing about full-time RVing. Now, if you can't make this one, I will be doing these again. I am also opening up my full-time RV framework that Brian and I created together that will open up after this workshop. I only open it up a couple times a year. It hasn't been open since last year. But that is also something that's on the horizon. So I want to help full-timers. I want you guys to really understand what you're getting into, set your expectations, help you make those big decisions, because there's a lot of moving pieces to going full-time. And sometimes knowing where you get your information from is important, and being able to talk to somebody and have your question answered than just some generic one is also important. So check out the workshop. It's at this URL, designyourrvlife.com/launch. And I would love to have you in that. Well, next week, I'm going to dive into what I learned from being a full-timer, okay? So today was about just the RV lifestyle in general, but what I learned from being a full-timer, we're going to follow up on this little topic again next week, because there are some more things that I've learned from just that aspect. I've been a free-timer, full-timer, and I am now a solo RVer. And so I can speak to a lot of the things that go on inside the RV lifestyle. And I have every intention of going full-time again. So I want you to join me next week for what I've learned from being a full-timer. And you know what? Go sign up for this workshop. We're going to have a lot of good time in there. We're going to get a lot of things accomplished in a plan for transition. So I'm going to dive into the comments and see who's here with me live. I always love this part. This is my favorite part. So Gabrielle says she's going full-time on 8/1 and she needs this. Yes, there is a lot of mindset that comes along with going full-time there, because our society wants you to wait as long as you can to fulfill your dreams. They, like there's this certain way that they want you to perform, and you need to have this in place or that in place and all the things. And, I'm here to tell you that you just don't wait. If this is what you want to do, you need to pull the trigger. Okay. Maureen says she planned on full-time, but that's a no-go. Bada Papa will be doing long weekend trips. But you know what? That is a great great opportunity for you, because then you can still see things. You can still go do it. You can still have the experiences. Not everyone wants a full-time RV life or can do it. So this is great. I appreciate you sharing that with me, Maureen. Charmaine says, go while you can. You might lose the physical ability to go. 100%. So another little side note, Brian and I we knew, in fact, that trip that I was making the jokes about being on the highway and going potty in the RV, and being stopped. That trip was the trigger for us going full time. We were like, this is amazing. How can we make this happen? So we were looking for another RV because the one that we owned at the time had a short queen in it, and there was no way that was a long-term solution for a full-time life, right? We just weren't going to sleep in a short queen. So we found a private seller, and we drove to look at the RV that we had picked out that we thought would fit for full-timing. And the woman who was selling it was her and her husband, but she was 66 years old. And they had to stop RVing because she lost her physical ability. So again, it may not be death, which hopefully it's not for any of you. But since this has happened to me, I have had a lot of women reach out to me that have given up their life, sold their RV, are too scared to start again. And I'm here to tell you that life's too short. We need to do what we want to do, need to do. Don't give up on yourselves. That's what I'm saying. Tina says, hi from Texas. Love the convenience of traveling in the motorhome too. 100%. I mean, I haven't had a fifth wheel. I haven't had a travel trailer, and there's nothing wrong with those modes of transportation. But I 100% prefer the idea of the motorhome, and that for me, and Brian felt the same way. But I've known people that have flip-flopped back and forth. They bought the fifth wheel, they bought the motorhome, they went back to the fifth wheel. It really kind of depends on your travel style, right? And what you like to do. And someone says, go full-time as quickly as you can. We love it. I bet you this is Rosemary. So Debbie Jo says, thanks, Luann, for great info as always. Oh, Jim says, hold on. There we go. My wife and I are seriously considering going full-time by the end of the year. Well, Jim and Ray from Florida, I would love to have you in that workshop because, we don't know what we don't know, right? And sometimes we think we can get the information from all over the place. And, this workshop will help you, solidify your decision. So I love that you shared that with me. Barbara says it will be a year in August that we went full-time, and we're so glad that we decided to jump in and do it while we can. Yes. Barbara is actually a graduate of the full-time RV framework. So she took all the strategies that we gave her inside there and sold her house and got on the road with her and her husband, and they have been loving it. Jim says he's definitely going to check out the workshop. I appreciate that. Cindy says, learned the hard way. Always make sure you can get to the bathroom. Yes. There you go. Can get to the bathroom. Slide outs have a mind of their own, and get bungee cords and tie down straps and take a ladder that's high enough to reach the roof. All good tips, Cindy. All good tips. Karen says, hey, Luann, I hope you're enjoying your new adventures with Mr. Darcy. Yes. Karen's funny because we actually met up and had lunch one day, and I was considering naming my RV, and I had kind of talked about naming it Tinkerbell, and she was going to make me this sign, actually a license plate for the front of it. And so I wasn't real sure. I used to be called Tinkerbell, like way back when, like second grade. I had a Tinkerbell lunchbox, and I thought, oh, that'd be cute. And plus my RV is a little smaller and it's real quick and can fly it around, right? But then I decided that Mr. Darcy was a better choice, since he can take me places. So, okay. So Dina says, for apps for boondocking, national parks, and harvest house. So what I've done on my phone is I've created a folder it's called RV Life on my phone. So I don't know if you can see it really well, but whoops, let me point to the right there. So I've put all my apps inside one thing, and then that way I can go and find them all. So that's how I handle that. And if anybody else has a suggestion, let's do it. And someone else said, hi, Luann from Montana. Thanks for encouraging us to go full-time. Oh, please let me know who you are, because it just says Facebook user. I would really love to know who you are. So yes, I'm telling you. So last year sometime I had someone say to me that I was the hold on, Tony Robbins of RVing. I just really want people to not let fear stop them from doing anything, or overwhelm, or mindset, or any of those things. If you have a desire to do something, whether it's RVing, full-time RVing, or, kayaking for the first time, you just have to take action. Action negates fear. 100%. And you know what? We build this community. We build this community of people who know and love each other. Inside our membership, we're planning meetups. We just really want to get together, see each other in person. It's just so much fun to get together with other people who are like-minded. And that's what this lifestyle can bring you. So, all right. Well, next week, again, I'm going to be talking about what I learned about from being a full-timer. So join me next week. Check out the workshop one more time, Design Your RV Life /launch, if you're not already full-time and you want to know more. Even if you're on the fence about full-timing and just want to learn more, this is a great workshop for you. Thanks for joining me tonight. I so appreciate your time and your support. And you guys have a blessed week, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me for the RV Living Show. I hope this episode helps you in creating an RV life that you love. Until next time, I encourage you to stop wondering and start wandering.